Gardevoir is getting the spotlight once again. Hey everyone, it's me Joji, and we're taking a look at the last of these early deck lists for Scarlet and Violet. And I definitely saved the best for last. This is going to be a Gardevoir EX deck. Now, Gardevoir is a really up-and-coming Pokemon in this Scarlet and Violet series. So hopefully you do enjoy this deck list. And if you do, definitely get subscribed because we are going to be doing a lot more deck list gameplay on these new Scarlet and Violet decks once it's available on Pokemon TCG. Now, because Gardevoir EX does have to evolve into Gardevoir EX, you have to start off with routes, but there are lots of options when it comes to how to get there. So I'm going to start off with the different versions of Gardevoir in this deck. And yes, there are other versions other than the Gardevoir EX we do see. And if you need a refresher on what this does, Psychic Embrace is its ability which lets you, as often as you like, put a psychic energy from your discard pile onto one of your psychic Pokemon. But of course that comes with the caveat of putting damage counters onto that said Pokemon. And then its attack is Miracle Force, which does 190 and then also heals any special conditions on the Pokemon. So on its own, it's not that great, but we'll see some other cards that will go with it very well. This is another Gardevoir that we have. This one is the Shining Arcana one, which is a really good draw supporter and honestly one of the best things of the Gardevoir line in this new series. This lets you draw 2 cards. If it's an energy, you attach it to your Pokemon, but if it's not, you just draw the cards outright. So honestly, really great to have this line. Let's move on to the Kirlias, which we run 4 of, and they are all the refinement version of Kirlia. There is another version that does, I believe, Miracle Gate or Miracle Step, one of the 2 attacks, but essentially you use the attack and you can put 3 other Kirlias onto your bench. A really great effect, but you know what? In this case, it's better to just run the refinement version of Kirlia. And finally, we have our 4 routes to finish off this line. This one is the Memory Skip line in order to prevent your opponent from attacking for a turn possibly, but that is the Gardevoir line we have in this deck. It's a 4-4-2-1 of Gardevoir. Now, I did say we were going to have some better attackers, and that is Zacian V. This is the one that came out in the 25th anniversary set. And while this doesn't do a lot of damage with just 3 energy, because of the Gardevoir EX, it can put a lot more and do more than 150 damage. So honestly, a really strong attacker. But we have something even stronger that a lot of people will not be expecting, and that is this mishmash of stuff, which, as you may know, as the Mewtwo V Union. Now, because it's so easy to accelerate energy with the Gardevoir EX, and then we can discard with the refinement Kirlias, Mewtwo V Union is very viable in this deck. With its ability Photon Barrier, it can prevent things like damage counters going onto your Pokemon, which is really great, especially with Lostbach being a major contender for tier 1 deck. And then also its Psysplosion, which essentially lets you put 16 damage counters onto your opponent's Pokemon any way you like. And again, just like Lostbach takes advantage of these weak basic and stage 1 Pokemon, you can take very good advantage that same way. And so we run obviously only 1 Mewtwo V Union in this deck. Okay, moving on to the last 3 Pokemon. The next one is going to be a card that I actually pulled from a pre-release just recently. It is going to be Klefki, which with its miraculous lock here essentially disables all basic Pokemon's abilities, but keep in mind that also disables your basic abilities. And of course, this comes with the caveat of this being in the active, but it's a good way to stall for a turn or 2 if you definitely need it. Speaking of Pokemon that it can disable effects from, we have a Radiant Greninja for draw support, and then a Manaphy for blocking damage to our bench. Because keep in mind, although our Mewtwo V Union does have its Photon Barrier, that does not prevent things like actual damage from effects from getting sniped like Rapid Striker Shifu VMAX. So this is a good card to have. Okay, so now we're going to move on to our supporters for Pokemon trainer cards. And boy, do we have tons of them, because there are a lot of 1/1 lines. But let's start off with the bigger list here. We have 3 professors for draw, because of course we're going to be discarding a lot of our cards with refinement, and we want our psychic in the discard to use the Gardevoir EX. We also run, starting off, our really short lines: Judge, a single Boss's Orders, and you'll start seeing a trend here: a single Serena, a single Zinnia for draw, a single Peonia so we can grab things from our prizes, maybe one of those Mewtwo V Union pieces, a single Clara if we really need to pull something from the discard, and then a single Roxanne. So there's a lot of single version of trainer cards, but that's okay because we don't need too much draw support because of a refinement engine here. But let's move on to our item cards, starting off with 4 battle VIP passes in order to grab our routes, or maybe even some of our other basic Pokemon. We also have 4 level balls to obviously again grab our routes, maybe Kirlia's, the Klefki, or the Manaphy as well. We have 3 fog crystals to grab something like an energy, or of course one of our psychic Pokemon. We also have ultra balls, a rescue carrier in order to grab maybe some other Pokemon back if we definitely need it, Halpad, because obviously you see we have tons of 1 lines for our supporters, and because of all those supporters we're running out of space. But our last item card is our only Poketool, Sky Seal Stone, which of course goes on to your Zacian V. Now as for our stadiums, we are running 2 Simple of Sinnoh, because we only are going to be running regular Psychic Energy and then a Collapsed Stadium, because although we have lots of Pokemon, we aren't going to be using all of them at once. So limiting that bench space is very helpful for us. And finally, we have 11 basic Psychic Energy, which I'm going to put back here because we are running out of space. So yeah, that is the deck list. Gardevoir EX is not the main attacker in this deck, but it is an amazing supporter for our actual attackers here. And as you saw, it is a very interesting way to play because of the 1/1 lines of our supporters. But as it is, honestly, it's an interesting deck to try out. So what do you guys think of Gardevoir EX? Do you think that this is going to be a tier 1, maybe a tier 2, or is it not even going to reach that level and even get dropped down to tier 3? Only time will tell, but I think it's definitely a deck worth trying out once it's available on Pokemon TCG Live. And of course, we are going to be playing this and reviewing a deck overview of it when it is available. So if you want to catch that, definitely get subscribed so you don't miss that video when it comes out. So that is going to be the last of our early deck list videos, because Scarlet and Violet is releasing at the end of this month. But if you haven't caught the other 2 videos I did on early deck lists, definitely go check those out. Anyways guys, as always, stay safe and thanks for watching.